everybody, and welcome to this week's bonus podcast for Conversation Street. And we've got a really cool episode for you today. I hope you're going to enjoy it because we've just recorded the bit that you're going to hear in a little bit, and we had a brilliant time having a chat because we have got some very special guests on the podcast this week.
Well, hang on.
Are we
their
guests?
guests?
I don't know.
They are guests.
To celebrate the crossover that's been going on between all the soaps this week, which we've seen a little bit of and we'll talk more about on the podcast this weekend, we had Alex and Rob from Walford Weekly podcast on for a little cross-Corrie EastEnders chat.
I love this. We had so much fun talking to them about both soaps and the future and climate change. So I hope that you have as much fun listening,
deep.
Yeah, as we did.
Yeah, we've arranged this for weeks. We've been talking about maybe it coming up ever since the news of the soap crossovers going on, and it was so much fun, and we've known of Walford Weekly obviously ever since the beginning, and Rob's been was a listener of Conversation Street at the beginning as well. So actually the chance to talk to them, so much fun. Whether you're a Corrie fan or an EastEnders fan or a bit of both, do enjoy this next bit of the podcast because it's a great celebration of all things soap. So without further ado, that's plenty of waffling from me and Gemma as well. So here is our chat with Walford Weekly.
Hi Michael, hi Gemma, how are you both?
Hi.
Hello.
We're okay. How are you?
We're well,
I'm
very well. This is very exciting.
What an honour to speak to soap podcast royalty.
Thank you so much. How lovely to speak to you as well. This has been too long coming, hasn't it?
It's been
Absolutely.
a long time.
Proper. Yeah, because Rob, we've kind of known each other on and off, like podcasty wise, for years, haven't we? Because you listen to Conversation Street
we hang
back
out
near the beginning.
We hang out at parties and all of that sort. We hang out at podcast parties and get drunk behind outside and all that sort of thing. Yeah,
all the
shared showbiz stories. Yeah, no, I've been listening to.
I remember you were on
Conversation Street fairly early on.
Yeah, and then you went off for a bit, didn't you? And then we found you again online one evening, and it's so funny that now we've inspired you, haven't we, to start to join Walford Weekly.
It taught me everything I know.
Oh my God, I do apologise.
Apologise to Alex, not to me. How rude! How dare you? So, guys, I mean, Coronation Street and EastEnders. Now, normally the twain rarely meet, let's be honest, but this week is a special week because all the soaps are doing sort of crossovers in order to speak about climate change. Now, tonight on EastEnders, we watched Maria from Coronation Street having a Barney with Tracy Barlow, talking about climate change. How did you feel about the scene in Coronation Street this week? We'll talk about Corrie first, but how did you feel about how it was all inserted into your soap this week?
I like the idea of the crossovers. It's been quite fun, and it's been lovely having all the communities get together. I can't say that the way that Coronation Street had their scene was the best, and even picking Maria as the mouthpiece for it.
I did wonder that.
The story has been going on Corrie for a little while.
Because
we've had this story where
Go on.
We've had the story with the characters, with Maria and Sally complaining about the amount of parking, about cars parked on Coronation Street, and there's been a lot of fumes, and Liam, Maria's son, has suddenly develops asthma, and it's compelling stuff, and so it kind of felt natural to us that part of the story was still going on today, but when it was recorded, because it was in yesterday's episode, wasn't it, that Maria recorded that, or there was a journalist recorded that, it felt a bit like, oh, okay, this is the crossover bit rather than something natural for Coronation Street. And maybe I would have preferred it if it had been a different character, but it was okay, and it was quite fun seeing a pop up in EastEnders today.
As an outsider looking in, because I put my hands up, I've not watched Coronation Street for years and years and years and years. Is this Tracy and Maria Barney? Is this a long-term thing as well? Is this that they've got a history between each other? So it made sense for them to have this argument live on this social media platform.
Tracy and Maria.
Yeah.
I think they just argue with everybody.
Well, especially Tracy. She'll have a Barney with anyone, wouldn't she?
Yeah, Tracy will argue with anybody about anything. Maria's just had a bee in her bonnet about the parking. for a good few months now, and as we all know, that parking cars is one of the major drivers of climate change. So we really need to cut down on the cars. We need to get them moving.
Yeah, they should always be moving. Like they should be like sharks, never stop moving, just constantly go around the road.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's been.
We haven't tried that yet, have we? So
no,
that would be the secret.
Wasn't it a bypass as well that's being built though? Didn't they say about a bypass?
That's a new thing.
Oh, that's a new thing, especially for the week.
Yeah, because apparently they're also bad for the environment.
Yeah, well.
I did feel that watching it when they were talking about them building the bypass over the Red Wreck, which is their local park. It kind of came out of nowhere, and not many people apart from Maria really cared about it.
I know this would be major. Honestly, this would be major news in the world of Weatherfield, because that is where they go for everything. Not so much recently because of COVID, and we've had Victoria Gardens as like a new kind of parky set that they can go and sit in. But that would have been, the Red Wreck would have been, well, it's a major kind of part of their everyday lives, and everyone's like, well, you can get to Cheshire faster with this bypass.
Sam didn't seem too bothered by the end.
No, Sally is a very strange character to have on the side of, yes, I mean, they've kind of put together this story quite well, because Sally's been trying to get rid of the cars on the street, and now she's got the bypass, which I assume they'll all park there instead.
Yeah,
parking on the
motorway.
Yeah,
this gridlock motorway where everyone's parking. Marie's running up and down and chasing people with asthma.
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of makes sense, but really, Sally's not the sort of character who would sort of approve of getting rid of a park.
You'd sort of maybe have her in Maria's role, wouldn't you?
Yeah, they had a storyline 20 odd years ago where they were going to dig up the Red Wreck, and that was quite a big one then. And they had a character called Spider Nugent, who was a bit of a swampy eco-activist kind of guy. Yeah. And that felt like a really big story. And Alf Roberts was the councillor at the time, who was the one trying to push through the. Yeah, exactly. And that felt bigger. And this week for Coronation Street, so far at least, felt a little bit like, oh, okay then.
They must have picked like a thing for each soap, because EastEnders had Eat Less Meat.
Yeah.
And the thing is, that's a really clear and obvious thing that everyone can do it. You can debate it. Everyone's got an opinion about it. Whereas a bypass and a park, like if you don't live there, I mean, I don't care if they knock down the Red Wreck. I don't live anywhere near it. Carry on.
Yeah, it's unrelatable.
Yeah.
Because
it isn't, is it? It's not as relatable.
No, but wasn't there like a big story with like the sinkholes like a week ago? Shouldn't that be like? I would have thought that
that's
that
what
would
I
be
thought.
Closer to it, wouldn't it?
That's old news.
So briefly, like there was all that flooding, and then she didn't say, and that guy died that we all know. Or anything, because a character died because you can link it to climate change, can't you? If you wanted to.
Literal people have died.
Johnny was killed by climate
change.
Yeah. Johnny was killed by climate change. Nothing more, nothing less. Talking about the sinkhole, I watched all that because we've known we were going to do this for a little while, listeners. If we're honest, a bit behind the scenes, guys. This has been in the works for a little while, and I watched Sinkhole Week in preparation. It was. It was interesting.
I believe we're calling it Coronation Street.
That's my belief.
Street, my apologies. Yeah, that's quite right. I'd love to hear what you guys, as the Corrie podcast, thought of Sinkhole Week. It was a lot, wasn't it? It was quite a lot of sort of people falling down holes. Yeah. Did you really enjoy it?
We really, really enjoyed it, and it's been so divisive.
I thought, honestly, though, I thought it was a bit too restrained for my taste.
Yeah, you wanted the whole street demolished.
I don't know why they didn't have that.
It was absolutely
nuts.
It was, we really enjoyed it. I love all the big stunts and the epicness, and it's been so long since Coronation Street has been able to do stuff like that because of COVID. That for us it was just like, oh, brilliant. I'll tell you, okay, we will suspend our disbelief for the moment. It was very silly, but I was really excited by it, and I've been really trying hard to avoid spoilers for it as well. So some of the bits that happened I didn't realise were going to happen, like the big car crash as well. I knew that it would be related to the sinkhole, but I didn't know who'd be going down there. We predicted that Johnny would end up making his
Johnny's been walking around saying that he's looking forward to his future, and he can't wait to see his daughter
that's practically
again.
a suicide note.
Yeah, basically.
And I think I also liked it because a lot of the characters, some of my favourite characters were involved in it. So Jenny and Johnny and Abby and Corey and Nina. So they're some of my favourites at the moment. So it was a great weekend.
Yeah, great characters.
What did you think, Rob?
Yeah, come on, tell us. I really want to know.
I mean, honestly, I did enjoy it. I thought all of the actors were great in it, and the fact that it went on during, I don't think you could look at that week isolated and say that was filmed during a pandemic where you've all got to stay 2 meters apart. Obviously people were bubbled, and I think it all went really well. And I agree that the characters that were involved were really good. It was a little bit sort of like you said. I think suspend disbelief is an excellent phrase to use during it. So a lot of it was sort of like, oh, okay. Then my favourite moment was when Harvey and Leanne were having their ultimate climax, and Harvey raised the spanner up. And then the sinkhole disappeared, and he wasn't that far away from Leanne. The sinkhole disappeared beneath Harvey, and Leanne was just looking down, going, "Oh, bye then, see you later." And then found the gun that had been disposed of by another sinkhole via another pipe further down the street. I mean, it was all. It was just kind of silly soap stuff, wasn't it? It was kind of fun.
It really was.
Impressive stuff.
I think we laughed.
Yeah.
When we saw him fall down the hole, you just had to laugh, really. I don't know. Yeah. I have to believe it was a bit tongue-in-cheek. I hope it was.
Yeah, I'm sure
it has to be, surely.
I mean, there was there were some poignant scenes on the Friday with Jenny and Johnny. That was really tragic. But, some of the other stuff was just crazy.
Nonsense, mostly.
Yeah.
It was fun
as well. It was a bit...
Oh, sad.
One of the big criticisms for EastEnders, especially at the moment, is that there's a huge lack of aftermath for any storyline that happens. For argument's sake, Janine's fire in the Mitchell House story, it happened one day, the next day it was completely forgotten. And something I had to say I admired was that the following week, because I watched episodes after was Coronation Street sinkhole madness, that they had an amazing amount of aftermath with it, and I really admired that as well. It was really nice seeing the stories that they kind of continued, and they had Dev, and he was giving management role to his son because he left him in the car.
Yes.
Mm.
You always have to promote anyone you leave in a car.
Of course.
It's just polite, really, isn't it?
And Sam's mum, who I thought that was gut wrenching watching the scenes with Sam.
Yes, he's a good little actor.
Oh, he's an amazing little actor.
He is a good little actor, isn't he?
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, he's great. Social media's gone mad for him.
He's been in
the episode.
They have. He's
been
on the
episode that he had his little monologue.
Yeah, he's been on the show for about a year or so now, hasn't he? And straight away, he was one of the ones we pegged him as like, he's gonna be good. No, he's been very impressive. Yeah.
But I think Corrie does it quite well. Aftermath weeks, they kind of take the time to sort of wallow in the grief, but slow everything else down.
It does. It can slow things down a bit.
Gemma,
sometimes
wallowing in grief is what EastEnders has made its living on. So don't diss it, love. Honestly, like EastEnders has made a living on wallowing in grief.
Oh yeah.
But then eventually it will like stop and they won't mention it again because of the filming blocks and everything.
Yeah.
You'll have your weeks where it's like, what's going on with this story? Because we've had a few big other storylines going on this year, like a big affair and everything, and it's like, that's just on hold now for the moment, and it's going to come again at some point. Is that similar with EastEnders? Do you have stories that start and stop and then come back again a month later and stuff?
Yeah.
Don't even get us started.
No.
Block storytelling. I'm sure you have that in Corrie. Well, you certainly. It's a thing across all the soaps. I think it's the way they deal with like the number of episodes that they've got, isn't it? So what I wanted to ask. Obviously, Alex has said that he hasn't watched Corrie properly since the 90s. What is, and I obviously I've been a fan of Corrie for years and years. I haven't watched it for a little while recently, but I did obviously tune in for recent episodes. What is your experience of EastEnders, guys? What is your watching habits? Did you know a single person that was in any of the episodes that you watched?
No, well,
a few. I recognise
Sharon.
Yes.
Sharon Mitchell, and obviously when Mick came in, who was Danny Dyer this evening.
May I correct you?
He only had one line
for Sharon Watts. She dropped the Mitchell. She dropped the Mitchell.
Is she? Oh, sorry.
That was about 2 marriages ago.
But I recognised her face.
Yeah. No. It was just there was a big story when she was trying to kill her third, or Ian Bill, because she married Ian Bill.
Sixth.
Because she found out that, she blamed Ian for the death of her son. And so last Christmas, the big story was that she was trying to kill him with a Christmas pudding.
Cool.
So
lovely. Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah.
So, you know,
that
happened.
That's how Gemma try and get me.
Yeah.
I recognise Patrick as well, because the actor that plays him's quite famous, isn't he?
Yes.
We were trying to desperately today, watching it. I felt like I was trying to revise for an exam.
Yeah.
I wasn't really, hadn't paid attention to anything that had happened. So we've watched 3 episodes. My family used to watch EastEnders when I was young. So I remember watching it then, and then we stopped watching it. And then a few years, I can't remember how, you guys will probably know what I'm talking about, but I went around my uncle's house at Christmas and they were watching EastEnders, and it was a woman crying on the floor eating dog food. And I remember thinking, okay, this is a bit different from Corrie.
A little bit, yeah.
Is that a famous story? That was my most recent experience of watching EastEnders, apart from the episodes that we watched.
Yeah, whereas I hadn't ever watched it at all. I mean, the odd bit here and there, but I just recognised some of the characters from, they're famous.
Yeah, they're famous.
Like the Patrick, I recognise that actor because I loved him when he was in the Thin Blue Line back in the late 80s. Did either of you watch that?
Yeah,
he was great.
Oh, I loved the Thin Blue Line. Loved it, yeah.
He was fab in that. And then there was Denise in tonight's episode. I think she was in the Bill at one point. I remember her from that.
Wow.
Well, the Bill used to be the retirement home for a lot of soap actors, didn't it? I mean, Denise did it the other way around, but like Todd Carty and Louisa Layton was on the Bill for a little bit as well, wasn't she? So like it became the retirement home for them. I mean, is it that EastEnders just never appealed to you, like when you were younger? It just didn't capture your imagination, Michael, or was it just that you were more Corrie guy, or just?
I mean, I think lots of people watch what their families watch, and my family always had Coronation Street on, and never EastEnders, and I was 12, 13 at the time, and that was on, and I gradually just sat in the lounge with them and started following that, and never. And I had cause to switch the channel. No, I mean, it's a bit of a commitment being a soap watcher, isn't it? I don't know how anybody watches more than one soap, to be honest. No. It takes up so much time.
That is true, but then the number of episodes, isn't it? I mean, that's increased by a massive margin over time recently. And so I think
you're on four a week at the moment.
We're 4.
Yeah, we're on 4.
You guys are 6. I'm sure at one point I've had this argument with Ben before. I'm sure Coronation Street did 7 at one point. Didn't you used to have a Sunday episode?
Yeah.
No, there used to be a Sunday one, but that was like the 4th episode a week, I think.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
It's changed days over the years. I don't think. I mean, there may have been 7, the odd, special week or whatever, but 6 has always been the maximum,
the magic number.
And that was yeah, but it used to be 5 up until 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, it used to be like doubles on
it.
Monday and Friday, and then one on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
And the Wednesday one always felt like a bit of a waste of time, really, because they never did much, because they knew that they only had one, half-hour bit. Whereas having double episodes, they can kind of, have a big cliffhanger in the middle between each episode. Because does EastEnders ever do 2 in one day, or is it just 1 a day?
Very rarely. I don't think we've done that for a long time, have we?
Christmas Day, they used to sometimes do 2, didn't they? They used to split them in half, Rob. So they used to do 1 at about 6 o'clock, which was kind of like the tame episode of EastEnders for the kiddies. And then about 8:30, and then by 8:30, 9 o'clock, they're eating dog food off the floor, sticking their heads in gravy,
That's post-watershed.
Oh my goodness!
I have to say, I did quite enjoy watching these episodes of EastEnders. That we there were some stories that I was like, I don't know what's going on, and I can't invest in this. Like the thing with Vi losing her house or something. I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Who's
there.
it? Gray is very sad.
Yeah, Gray going to a funeral or something.
And he's proposed. Will she say yes?
Yes. Well, exactly. Now,
this lady,
let us tell you about. Let us tell you about Chelsea. Now, let us tell you about Gray. Gray Atkins is you know Michael and Gemma, the producers of Corrie over the years. The name Kate Oates will be very familiar to you, I have no doubt.
Yes.
Well, basically, Gray is the EastEnders version of Pat Phelan. He started off.
Really?
Yeah. Yes, well, yes, but much less popular. Because he started off as a very powerful domestic violence storyline with his wife, and it culminated in him actually killing his wife in a domestic violence plot. That's
she the one that fell into the knife in the dishwasher?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, she got dishwasher to death. That's the one.
I've heard of that.
But he looks so sad.
Well, yeah.
It looks deceiving.
Oh, he's far from. He's now killed 3 people. Is it now, Alex?
I need to watch it
again. 3, yes. One he pushed in front of a tube train. Another he wrapped up like a Subway sandwich after strangling her. And then and obviously his ex.
And then dishwashed his wife.
Dishwashed his wife. Yes.
Yeah. Our problem is, our problem is, it started off as such a powerful story. With the domestic violence, really, and killing the partner, something that was really prevalent, especially during lockdown. So really topical story and really important story to tell, and then sort of went down the sort of soapy serial killer route. So it's kind of cheapened it and lost its power that it once had. But what I wanted to ask you more than anything really was, so at the moment, all the soaps are currently working together to send out this message to, for climate change, and that's fantastic. What do you think about the future of the genre of soaps? Now we're here together as massive super fans of our own shows. What do you think the future of the genre of soap is, and do you think it's possible for the soaps to work together to keep each other alive?
I would hope so.
That's a really good question. We talk sometimes about, where's it going to go, and it feels sometimes a bit of a scary future for soaps because everybody wants to binge things and watch everything all at once, and TV is the quality of television has gone up massively. Soaps used to kind of hold the fort when the TV got a bit kind of dire, but then you started getting massive investment in American TV like Lost and Desperate Housewives, I think were bringing in that kind of era, the golden era of television, and just so much money is going into creating really high quality dramas and comedies. It's difficult to see how soaps can compete, especially when it relies on you watching every single episode. So it can be quite a scary I think as long as they want to keep doing them, they will, but it's a question of whether it starts to get too expensive. That's the trouble.
Yeah, I think they'll fight tooth and nail to keep them on.
I honestly think that the idea of either company, either channel dropping their soap, I think it would kind of make them lose face. Does that make sense? Because they're flagship shows for both of them, and especially with ITV, the history of Coronation Street going back 60 years, I think it would just be too big of a thing to lose. And in a sense, I feel as though there's a lot of the identity of the channels tied up in these shows. What does BBC mean to lots of people? Well, EastEnders, the same with ITV. Some other quite famous shows, I don't know that people would necessarily remember what channel they were on. Yeah, does that make sense? I feel like there's an identity tied up in them. But
it sort of feels
like ratings have been on the decline forever, haven't they? But they'll always be. They'll find their level and level out at some point, because there's always going to be people that will want to watch soaps, and I know they've been trying to catch the youth and everything, and that's a very difficult audience to catch, but I would like to think that they'll be able to keep going in some fashion forever. It's horrible to think not.
I think because I think the sort of the height of binge TV is now, and the fact that soaps are still carrying on is a good sign that people are willing to keep those viewing habits for specific shows that they need to. And obviously reality TV is a similar format where you kind of have to watch every week, otherwise someone's going to tell you what happened. And I know that EastEnders and Corrie both experimented with uploading all the episodes at the beginning of the week.
Yeah, during the Olympics.
Yes. Yeah, and we hated that.
Yeah,
what did you think?
So did we.
Yeah, what did you think about that?
So, Rob, you say you hated it. I in a strange way, it helped us out to record the podcast, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, it was convenient for us. That was about it.
For that. But I actually didn't mind so much. The thing that, for me, I felt it lost was the community. As soon as they started uploading all the episodes in one go, there was a real lack of community. And on our Twitter, you could see that the number of people who would interact interact with us was declining and being just forgotten about. And really, that's what soaps should be about. It's encouraging a community kind of conversation between people. That's exactly
how we feel.
That's why they do all these kind of stories. But in a weird way, maybe with a restructure of how we look at soaps is maybe putting them all on at once the direction to do it. And how far do you put on so many episodes? Do you put a month's worth on at once? Do you put a week's worth at once? It depends on whether people can maybe rethink what soaps should be, and whether we should rethink that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
because soaps are meant to be
the trouble.
cliffhangers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the trouble is, you upload everything, especially if you do it on a Monday morning. Very few people are going to be binge watching it on Monday morning and going onto Twitter to talk about it. And the other thing about it is that the online newspapers and Digital Spy and everyone, they go onto Twitter and they trawl through everybody's responses and they use it to make articles about the soaps. Yeah. So they'll be like, Corrie fans horrified at Coronation Street gaff or something, and then they'll just put anonymous tweets in. And without that, what are they going to be writing about? And so the Coronation Street and EastEnders and Emmerdale, they stopped being reported on by the tabloids, and that's kind of, I think, a way to remind people who don't watch the soaps that they're on. The fewer people talking about them, the fewer articles there are going to be online about people's reactions, and so it starts to drop in the consciousness, and people are, I don't think, going to come back. But then, I don't think any of us really understand the mindset of people that, can really get into the mindset of dropping in and out of a soap. Yeah, because we have to watch every episode.
We're contractually obliged.
Exactly.
I remember when I was at college many years ago, and we studied Coronation Street actually as part of the course, and it was the discussion was whether how easy it is to join a soap, to invest into a soap. Yeah. How many episodes would it take for you to kind of learn enough about the characters to get into them?
That's interesting.
And it's interesting that we're doing this week because we've both kind of been watching. I think I would say in general we've watched about 3-4 episodes. And do you think that if you were to watch EastEnders now, you could carry on watching EastEnders after these 3 episodes comfortably? You feel like you could comfortably watch them without having spoken to Rob and I tonight? Do you think you could have just delved back in? Because that's another thing that could bring in an audience is the simplicity of bringing an audience into the soap again. Have they made it too complicated with the number of characters, the number of stories, the number of things that seem to be going on around now? Like, it was a much more simplistic era, really, in the 90s, the 2000s. There was 1 or 2 stories, perhaps, that were the long-standing ones, the ones that were talked about. Now there's 4, 5, 6 stories happening in 1 week. Yeah. Do you think that maybe simplifying a soap would be an easier direction to get people back on board?
I just really want to know how long it would have taken us to work out this Corrie is a murderer, because we had no idea.
Just on his next step. He seemed like such a nice man.
Oh, wait a minute! He seems to have done this before.
Well, you were excited about him getting married.
Watching bits of it.
Yeah,
I was happy to carry on watching bits of it because there were some stories, like the story with Eve that started last week. I thought that Eve was a brilliant character because she was new, wasn't she?
More of Eve.
But she wasn't in it tonight. But what a cracking actress she was. I hope that she's going to come back for your sakes. I want to know what's going to happen there. The baby storyline, I'm kind of a bit interested in. There's other stories that I'm less interested in. But if I were to carry on watching, I'm sure I would start to pick up in the other. I'm not going to do it though, guys. I haven't got time.
Michael, we've got you written down for babysitting duties while we're away to do Walford Weekly. Is that not the plan?
Right.
On to ours.
you might experience a decline in listenership those weeks.
No way.
I think it's a good argument for introducing new characters, because the first episode we watched was Eve's first episode. I think, I don't know if she'd been in it before, but people were like, oh, okay. and it kind of helped us to ease in, and you can sort of see the beginning of her story. And with the baby, I think the baby's a new character as well.
Yes.
So we were like, okay, yeah, here we're following along with this story too. So
no, she's been in it for years. That baby. She's longer than Kamala.
She smokes, drinks
she
whiskey.
looked like an old pro.
Yeah.
She was great.
She was so cute.
She was adorable.
It's interesting you saying about new
so
characters.
I think new characters.
It's interesting you're saying that, because Coronation Street has a real good tradition of keeping characters and actors on the show.
Yes.
Where EastEnders don't tend to have the same tradition. Like, there's a lot of characters who I recognise immediately, like Sally, like Kevin. I said as a joke when we were talking to each other, I hope Ken's still on the show, and he is. It's like
he's still going.
Is he?
Ken is the crows at the Tower of London.
Yeah,
he's looking after the crown jewels, is he?
Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting, but I almost feel like, especially with the additional, especially for the ITV shows, they're throwing so many extra episodes in, and it almost feels like, in some ways, in order to compete with one another, the soaps have sort of bent themselves out of their individual shapes in order to compete with one another. So, have they lost their identity? Is that maybe why some viewers are falling away from them, because there's that constant competitiveness with each other? And I'm reminded of when William Roach, when Corrie won Best Soap on one of the Soap Awards, and he made a speech basically saying to everybody that was there, to everyone at Emmerdale, EastEnders, Hollyoaks, Doctors, we're all colleagues at the end of the day. We're all doing the same job. We're all trying to educate and entertain the nation. And he's totally right. So I really think that going forwards, in order to keep the genre alive, because the genre of soap is so important, still, if you do a domestic violence storyline or a rape storyline or a drug addiction, any of those sorts of big issues, and they've got helplines attached to them, those numbers spike. The stories help people.
Yeah.
Soaps don't just make us roll our eyes or make us laugh. They really help us sometimes. And it would be a real shame and it would be wrong for us to lose that in sort of the consciousness of British television. So I hope personally that this climate change thing can be just the start of the soaps starting to acknowledge each other's importance a little bit more, because there's no need for you to be constantly competing with one another and trying to get each other knocked off the schedules and going against each other. It's unnecessary. So fingers crossed, I say.
Yeah,
and,
it's one of those things where they do measure their success based on each other's viewing figures, which it's hard to get out of that. But
and
I
the
totally
awards
agree
as
with
well,
you.
isn't there? The NTAs, the British Soap Awards, TV Choice.
But the other thing also is that quite a lot of the behind the scenes people and even some of the actors will go from soap to soap. So
yeah, we've got Gwen Taylor.
They all party with each other backstage at the award ceremonies anyway.
Oh God, yeah.
They consider themselves all colleagues. It's a friendly rivalry, but I don't think all viewers see it as a friendly rivalry.
I would really love it if we had more crossovers, but it felt laborious. It felt like it felt really shoehorned in. I don't know whether it kind of stuck out in it, and it kind of looked a bit odd to people who didn't know that this was going to happen. I just think it could be done more organically, but it might be just too much more work than we can imagine, perhaps.
Maybe, yeah. And you've got to... I mean, I'd love to see... I remember the guy who played Jimmy Corkill in Brookside years and years ago. Obviously, Brookside got cancelled years ago. But he said that he'd love to just for his character to turn up on Corrie or EastEnders and sort of continue that character's life story.
Yeah.
That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Like characters that have left one soap. Someone, Maria leaves Coronation Street and moves to East. I tell you what, Maria would have a time in EastEnders, but let me tell you. But, that sort of thing.
Good.
That would be... That'd be interesting. It depends if the actor would want to do that, obviously, because that's sort of clinging on to a character that clearly was done with one soap and moving on to another. But it would be interesting to see if they could integrate a bit more.
I mean, wasn't I think Cindy was in EastEnders and then was a bar lady in Coronation Street, wasn't she?
Yeah, Stella.
Oh,
God. You can have her back.
That's it.
Is she not very good? I don't know. Didn't she put on a northern accent for it? I forget.
Yeah, she
kind
did.
of whispered everything.
She whispered everything.
She hoped that people wouldn't notice. Like, oh, hello.
She wasn't a very particularly popular character, was she? She lasted a few years, bless her.
We just call her Beige Stella, don't we?
Yeah.
So beige.
Stella.
She wore beige. She was
alcohol-free
beige.
Stella.
Yeah. Just not. I wonder whether there must be some kind of is that like the BBC, like if they share anything, do they have to? Is it like the Queen will chop their head off or something? Because they get the license payer, they get the license payer fees, and they've got obligations and things. I don't know whether they can share IP, but wouldn't it be great if they could? I just can't see. I can't see it happening, but it would be if it was like the whole metaverse of soaps.
Yeah.
Because also the other thing that we hear about from other people who watch more than one soap is that very often storylines get copied from one soap to another, and it feels redundant and silly. But if it was part of one big soap metaverse, they wouldn't need to do that, because they could be like, refer to EastEnders this week if you want to find out more about how to push your girlfriend onto a dishwasher.
One thing that was interesting about the shared universe, though, wasn't there one thing around the 50th anniversary of Coronation Street? Dot Cotton said that she watched Coronation Street. So back then it was a programme, and now Weatherfield is a real place.
No, that's really straight. That's something that was pulled up. I think someone on Twitter as well. Yeah, Dot had mentioned about watching Coronation Street or having to get home to watch it, and then
never misses it. Dog.
And then Tiff tonight said like, "Oh, did you see this lass in Weatherfield?"
Weatherfield.
Yeah.
Honestly, trust Tiff to go after Maria.
Just don't think too hard about that.
No.
Well, guys, honestly, I could talk to you. We could talk to you forever. And I really hope that we get to do this again sometime, because it's been a lot. It was
really good fun.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I liked EastEnders. I really enjoyed. One thing that just before we finish, I want to say is that one thing I noticed about EastEnders that stood out to me was how busy everything looked.
Yes.
And this is we're just coming out of COVID filming in Corrie at the moment, and a couple of characters maybe stand kind of close to each other on Corrie now, but it really felt like EastEnders was very busy and packed and full of the market scenes.
Today when
I really appreciated that.
When they were throwing crisps at each other, I was like, I hope they sprayed those down. That could never happen on Corrie.
Thrown by members of their family off camera.
I mean, they've been praised. It has to be said that the one thing you can say about during the COVID, EastEnders have filmed, they call them plate shots, where they've been able to get big crowd scenes in living rooms or outside, and they've basically had to film them individually, which is one of the main reasons why the episodes are terribly shorter, as you noticed tonight when you kind of said, "Oh my goodness, that ended quickly." It's 20 minutes.
It really makes a big difference.
It does make it like the Rovers in Corrie at the moment. This has been so empty, like 3 or 4 characters in the pub at once.
To be fair.
I have to ask you about that actually, because it was something I was watching episodes from last week, and what was going on in the Rovers? People seem to order their drink and then walk off somewhere. They seem to walk around the back. Like every single one of them, they've ordered a drink and then walked off.
Oh yes,
like
there's a one-way system.
Oh, okay. I was really confused.
There's a smoking area around the back.
Okay.
So sometimes they go out there to have secret talks and be overheard and stuff.
Yeah. So when they never really properly had COVID, but people would go and order takeaway hot pot from. I've never seen anybody eat so much hot pot during the pandemic. But yeah, it feels very, very sparse on Coronation Street compared to EastEnders. So I think it's interesting the different approaches that the soaps have taken to try to overcome the limitations. But you wouldn't honestly know that there are any on EastEnders.
No, you wouldn't.
So obviously they've gone for. I don't want to say quality over quantity, because I don't want to say quantity is not as good, but there's definitely more episodes.
There's been pros and cons for all approaches. There's no right way of doing it. I really noticed that in EastEnders. It was very, very slick and busy.
Yeah.
And I hope that Corrie gets back soon, because the landlady at Coronation Street at the moment is one of our favourite characters, Jenny, and it feels like she's been shortchanged a bit on her landladyship. But she's just not had a chance to shine because the pub's just been dead.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like everyone just they were dancing at one point, and there was just 2 people to like music, and it was like, my goodness, this.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Very odd.
To us it was odd as well. So
still not got used to it, but hopefully they're on their way out, because from the Coronation Street stuff a couple of weeks ago, since around then, more and more people have been bubbling up, and I guess they've been doing COVID tests and things and everything. So hopefully we're on our way out of it. And that has come back to why I really, really did appreciate the Coronation Street week. As silly as it was great having everyone getting.
It looked really busy.
And,
Well, it's been a really lovely chat, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's do it again sometime.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
definitely.
We're colleagues.
Definitely.
We're colleagues too now.
But like
exactly, yeah.
like the soaps, podcasts, we're a community as well, and as a podcast community,
I think
it's
so.
lovely to talk to one another and talk about the things that we love. It's been really great fun talking to you guys.
Yeah,
thank you
so much, guys.
There we go. Oh,
I wanted to carry on
talking. Yeah, and there was one point where one of them started to tie off the ends, and I started talking about COVID for a little bit longer because I wanted to carry on talking. So, but we I really do appreciate getting a chance to chat with them, and it was a bit late for them and everything. But I really enjoyed that, and we will have to do something again. And thank you very much to Coronation Street and EastEnders and all the soaps for doing that little crossover this week, for encouraging this chat to take place. It was fab, and like we said, we're all soap colleagues and colleagues in podcasting and everything. And, we're not rivals or anything.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I like it.
I really did enjoy that. Thank you very much, Rob and Alex. It was a pleasure chatting to you.
Definitely do it again.
Yeah, we will do it again. We will. And there's I think am I going to want to watch a bit of EastEnders now? No, I can't. I must. We don't have the time. I'm watching Coronation Street. I'm watching classic Coronation Street. But
I was tricked by Grey all that time.
I know. I leave this experience.
Did he murder his dad?
I don't know. I don't want to know because I'll start getting into it and I won't be able to tear myself away from it. This is why I don't watch Star Trek. But I leave Coronation. I leave this chat, thinking, EastEnders isn't so bad really, because in my head it's been like, EastEnders is the right off, EastEnders is rubber. But actually, no, I did quite enjoy watching it this week. Well, can I just ask you?
We got to see Danny Dyer doing his magic.
Danny Dyer! I
watched the episode today and literally said one line the whole episode. Is that how he earns his cash? Is it? He has to rock up.
It looks like he's been away somewhere as well. Mick character.
Well missed, I would imagine.
We didn't know whether we were going to at one point watch tonight's episode of EastEnders before recording this or watch it after. But I'm glad we were able to watch tonight's episode.
Just to bask in the greatness.
Of Danny Dyer.
I can really see why he's so popular.
Yeah. Oh, everybody, it's me, Danny Dyer.
Danny Dyer.
I'm going to say one line. Give me £1 million. Boy.
Thanks, suckers. See you, Queenie. Off I go.
Oh, brilliant. Right, we're done, everybody. Thank you all for listening.
And if you watch EastEnders as well as Coronation Street and you don't listen to Walford Weekly, we hope that you will from now on.
Yes, do go and find Walford Weekly on Twitter. They're what's their Twitter at?
I would imagine they're easy to find.
At Walford Weekly, maybe. I don't know.
God, Michael.
But yeah, do go and follow and go and give Rob and Alex a follow there, and just don't defect. Don't stop watching Coronation Street and start watching this. Yeah, they're at Walford Weekly on Twitter. They're on YouTube.
And Instagram.
They're on Instagram. They're on Facebook.
They're on Patreon.
Go and give them a follow and tell them you enjoyed the chat.
And YouTube. And they do videos on YouTube.
They do videos on YouTube. Yeah, it's not just for audio, it turns out. But
there you go. Lovely. Thank you very much for listening. I hope that you enjoyed that, and maybe it will make you want to watch EastEnders.
Maybe, but don't stop Corrie because it's still a bit of a rivalry.
Right, I'm trying to wrap it up. Thanks for listening.
Goodbye. See you then. Bye.